Welcome to the Hive for real estate agents. The Hive exists to help agents build a real business with clarity and confidence and consistency. And we're not chasing trends or anything like that. We're just collaborating with top agents and other industry professionals to bring you the tools and the strategies that are really working in today's market. So, without further ado, here today we're kind of doing a little different style than we have been in the past few videos. It's going to be more of an interview style. Now I know Dakota has some slides for us for sure, but there's some questions I'm dying to ask him. So I hope it's valuable for y'all. We're going to learn a lot. If you're out there watching on YouTube, we do cut it off at the end of kind of the interview today or presentation. And we have a open up for Q&A, a question and answer session. So if you want to be part of that, go to the reagenthive.com and register and go from there. So, but all of you here that are not on YouTube right now, you're all here joining us. Thanks for joining. Dakota you're going into your third year, right? Is that true? Or you're in your second year of real
So
estate?
actually March 1st will be an official 2-year anniversary. So I'm about to be starting my third year
All
going in.
right. Awesome. So I'm excited. Dakota Ashley, hailing from Griffin area, I always call it south of South Metro Atlanta. It's like the very tip edge of South Metro Atlanta.
I'm the halfway point between Atlanta and Macon.
There you go. Yep. So I just think, since I met Dakota, you've been doing nothing but hustle. I've seen you struggle. I've seen you get discouraged. I've seen you grab some good wins, and I've seen all the. I wouldn't say that you've shown a lot of emotion. You're not the kind of guy that shows emotion on his sleeve, but I've seen you go through some ups and downs. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be helpful for any new agent out there that is stepping into their first year. So I guess let's just dig into it. So let's start here. Like, what brought you into real estate? What made you want to get your license?
Yeah. So, before I got into this real estate deal, I was a professional in the construction industry, building anything from restaurants to hotels to warehouses, mostly in the Southeast. Spent some time in Texas, and we went through a phase where things were getting slow, and they called me up to the office in Atlanta. So I had a 2-hour drive each way that was wearing me out just to sit in front of a computer and
Mm.
twiddle my thumbs, basically. So real estate investing is actually what started the process. I wanted to get into that, and had plenty of drive time to listen to podcasts and Bigger Pockets and some of the other shows, and decided, hey, why not be an agent to where I can go find my own deals? It'll be easy. And little did I know that, boy, did I not know what I was getting into.
Yeah.
So needless to say, I got my license, started doing it as a side deal, and then being as we were slow at work, ended up getting cut loose for the third time in 10 years, and I haven't been back since.
Didn't look back. Nice. I have
Yeah.
to say that it's a common story. I think I know not every agent, but a lot of agents get in their real estate license as kind of way to open up the door
Hmm.
into the world of investing. So, and I know you've kind of dabbled in it. I know you're around it. You surround yourself with a lot of investors in the investor community, and you work with
Yeah.
investors. But before we do that, you had some slides that you wanted to pull up? Give us a real quick.
Yeah. I mean, this is nothing super formal here, but just a quick
Or give us
about
something
me.
to talk about.
Yeah, give us something to talk about, right? So a little bit about me. So this right here is pretty much my world. You got my wife and my dog. My dog is actually conveniently right in between my legs right now. She won't just go lay in the corner because she knows I'm busy. But yeah, so got a little land in the background. I like dealing with land and hunting properties. Got a picture of my wife and I in the deer woods, and of course, the star of the show is always Sadie Dog there on the left there. That's pretty much it. I enjoy real estate and land and being outside. And I thought this would be funny to kind of start off. It's just another day as a realtor, right? This was actually on a prescribed burn down in Emmanuel County, down around Swainsboro, that I was a part of last year, and that picture I always think is a funny meme. So
Yeah.
that's just a
So that
quick.
was it. That was on purpose.
That was that. Yeah,
Okay.
it was absolutely on purpose.
Cool.
that's a whole nother conversation for later. But that's a quick about me. I got a couple more for later, but
Okay.
I'll turn this off, and then that way I can see everybody else.
All right. Well, you shoot when you're ready to show the rest of the slides.
Yeah,
I'll go off your cue.
cool,
So,
man.
all right, let's dig into it, man. Let's get into the meat of it. So, what did you expect? Before you started the day you got your real estate license and you're holding it in your hand. Like, what did you
Yeah,
expect? What do you
man.
think was going to go down?
I think we can bring everybody else in here. If everyone's got their fingers ready, can you drop a one in the chat if when you got your license you thought this was going to be easy?
Of course.
I'll go on and drop a one myself because I absolutely did. And little did I know, is certainly not.
Yeah.
There we go, James. Thank you for being honest. I know a couple of these guys that are on here, guys and gals, are probably driving. So don't text and drive, guys. But anyhow, yeah. So what did I expected this to just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, all my friends, everybody, all my family, they're gonna use me, right? Guess what? They don't. We'll get into that later too. But just it was a complete ignorance is bliss. Really had no idea what I was getting into. To be honest, I started the process in January, and on March 1st, I took my state test. So within 60 days, I did the course, took my test, and started my post license, and just picked a brokerage willy nilly. I think I have. We'll talk about that here in a little bit too, unless you want to talk into it now of kind of getting started and choosing a brokerage.
Um, well, yeah, that's certainly part of it. So yeah, give us the cliff notes on that.
The
On
Cliff
what
Note
your
version is,
thought process was trying to choose a brokerage
yeah.
to start
So
off.
so getting started was really just find a brokerage as close by the house because I'm already driving 2 hours to work.
Yeah, I
And
can
there
see your
really
thought
wasn't
process.
much of a any research done for what that office was producing.
Mhm.
Really just went off of how we vibe together. I hate that word vibe. I just used it. How do we get along? Personalities,
Mhm.
great people, but not a lot of production coming out of that office. And that was something that I feel like set me back. And if I was to go tell myself to start over, would be to do a lot more research into
Yeah,
the group that you're going to get licensed with.
for sure. So would you say that was that the hardest part of of year one was kind of figuring that out?
There was a lot of learning opportunities in the first year, and you know, probably if I had to say what the hardest thing would be to manage expectations. Um, both on the lead side, getting clients, and certainly my own. Going into this being completely ignorant of the whole process, and unfortunately, with the group that I started with, not having a whole lot of direction because they had other business
Mhm.
ventures that they tied up a lot of their time. So
Yeah.
really, it was just managing your expectations and
So really, a couple things that come to that because I know you one and some of the things you said, like the people you surround yourself with, I think
mhm,
was an important thing. Is that a fair?
absolutely, yeah. You want
Nice.
to definitely get around folks that are
Mhm.
doing what you
Mhm.
or doing what you want to do and exceeding in it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I try
certainly,
to I try to get in a room with people that are doing more than me, smarter than
yeah,
me.
yeah. I'd
So
rather be the dumbest one in the room, and I'm pretty good at being that.
come on now. So where did your you mentioned expectations. So
Yeah.
let me ask this question first. Like where did your first couple deals come from? And maybe tie in something that kind of failed or succeeded where expectations were either met or dropped.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first couple deals actually came from Sphere. Folks from church had one guy from hunting camp. The first three deals actually were all Sphere based, and expectation wise is it's a slow grind. Um, I wrote I compared it to growing a garden. Drop a two in the chat if you've ever grown a garden. That's what people do on stuff, right?
Started
They say,
or not grown.
well, if you attempted to grow a garden, any
Yeah.
anytime. Drop a two in the chat, right? So, um, the and where am I going with that? Is the seeds that you sow, you're going to have to one pick the fertile ground to sow the seeds in, right? Then you
Mhm.
got to wait for them to sprout. So that's like someone raising their hand of hey, and then you have to pick out is it a target crop or is it a weed that needs to be
Mm.
plucked out,
That's a
right?
good
And
point.
then of
Yeah.
course you have to water it and keep the bugs out of it and nurture it to the point of harvest. And how long is the growing season? It's 4 to 6 months, sometimes longer than that. And that's I compare the whole real estate process to growing crops.
Yeah. No, that's a
And
good point. Keeping the weeds out, keeping the bugs out. I assume that the bugs are maybe other agents in this, in this instance. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
it could
I
be.
jest. Um,
Yeah.
so as far as like setting expectations for and boundaries and with
Mhm.
your clients or your leads, like
Yeah,
did you struggle with that at all? And if so,
absolutely.
like give us a story on that one.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, I'm one of them learners that I have to learn myself. Everyone can be told what to do, but sometimes you don't really remember that someone told you that until you're getting burned by it. so,
Yeah, I hear you.
managing leads for sure and expectations of don't get in a seller's way was certainly one of my learning points. You're going to have listings that are going to expire. It's just going to happen, especially getting started. And honestly, getting don't chase every lead or every opportunity just for the fact that it's an opportunity. I had a couple I'm going to call bad listings my first year. None of them sold, and all of them cost me money, and all of them have been reasons that I've had to set boundaries and criteria for when I'm going
Mhm.
on a listing or even doing research on for a listing appointment. One case is took a listing where the seller had refinanced for basically appraisal value within the last 24 months, and the market softened, and they had to basically sell it for the top end of the range of the comp range uh, to get out of it.
Mm.
I shouldn't have taken that listing.
Yeah.
Um, there's one of the 10 commandments that we'll get into later that I jotted down is if a seller says they don't have to sell, believe them
Yeah.
and
Of
run.
course. Yeah. That is one of the red flags for sure. It's like
Yeah.
and I always ask the question in the listing appointment. I was like, what happens if the house doesn't sell?
Hmm.
And if they're like, oh, I'll just rent it out, or oh, we don't really have to sell, then that's a red flag. But sometimes it's like I like when they're like, you better sell it, or
Yeah.
there's going to be problems. Like, okay,
Yeah.
good, we're on the same page.
Yeah. This thing's got to go,
Yeah,
or else
100%.
I'm in trouble.
So what are some daily habits that you're using now? Or did you cover all that? Was there any other good stories with buyers or boundaries or anything? I want to make sure I didn't cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend a whole hour talking about some of that, and that's certainly some of everyone has a learning experience or a boundary.
Mhm.
One that this is actually happening today of something that I'm going to have to start working through is when you get a buyer lead and you start working them through the process of a pre-approval, you better go on and get them under a buyer brokerage agreement because you're going to get them approved, and then next thing you know, they're under contract because they went and looked at a house and had the listing agent write it up for them.
Wow, yeah, gotcha. That
That's
happened
actually
today.
happened today. Yeah.
All right. We're
Um,
still learning. We never stop
yeah.
learning, do
No,
we?
we
But
never stop learning. The funny thing, I shouldn't say funny thing, being this is going on YouTube, but it's not going to go through because he has to sell his house
mm,
for him to be able to buy anything. So,
gotcha.
oops.
Yeah. The way I look at it, because that's just going to happen. Like people are just,
Hmm.
the more information we can provide them in a buyer's consultation. That's why buyer's consultations I think are so important
Yeah.
to happen either before you go to that first house or soon after you go to the first house. Like you have to sit down in a location that's not in a house that they're looking at and really go over the expectations like you
Right.
talked about and really like dig in and ask all the questions
Hmm.
that they do they need to sell a house to get into another house, all those questions that learned to ask. We won't cover those. We'll do that in another episode. But
Right.
um, so yeah, so it's really about just giving people information. The more people you talk to, the more you're going to win.
Hmm.
So I always chalk those conversations up to practice conversations.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's the way I deal with that kind of rejection.
Yeah.
So cool. So what are the processes that you've learned, along the way? And like, have you formed any habits that have helped? Have
Yep.
you broken any bad habits?
So that's always a work in progress. Starting out, I really didn't have, especially after this became a full time deal. I was still with the other firm, and really had no direction. It was kind of a you go where the wind takes you deal. Had really didn't have a defined plan of what I was going to do, and started, as time went on, started kind of figuring out what that was, so that, you know, I keep saying, I'm sorry, TJ, you're gonna have to cut all that out.
No, you're
But
good.
got connected with TJ, and of course TJ got me in with Neil
Hmm.
and Agent Rise, and started figuring out the planning of that, and started chasing folks with Google as a pay per click. I'm not much of a social media guy. I consume a ton of it, but I am not a content creator uh, yet. We'll say yet. That's always a work in progress. But um, as leads started coming in, regardless of where they came from, I was too scared to call. And this is something TJ really helped me out through, was just call 'em,
Yeah.
and make the calls. I got it in big words on my board here in the office. It says, "Call the damn leads."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But you just got to call them. So that started to be a habit, and then of course getting, if I have current listings every Tuesday around between 9 and 11 o'clock, they're getting a phone call,
Hmm.
even if it's a, "Hey, what do you eat for breakfast?" Because I don't have anything else to talk to you about, or give them a quick market update if anything's changed. But just try to get in the habit of calling folks, and talking, having conversations. You
Yeah.
never know, if you call a listing that's been sitting around, they might have a nephew that is looking for a house, or someone they know that can end up being a referral, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
just have
100%.
conversations.
So I have to ask you this question. Did any of because people are afraid to call leads, like even
Hmm.
if I don't even consider like a Google lead, or if you could do a Facebook ads, somebody that has like filled out a form. I
Hmm.
wouldn't even call those cold leads myself. I don't, that's not how I define them. They're more of like maybe if you, a lukewarm lead, but they're not a cold lead. Like they have raised their hand and said, I am interested in a new home. So
Yeah,
let me ask you this: did anyone ever did you ever get hurt physically by calling those leads?
I did not.
Did anybody ever cuss you out?
Not that I can recall. I had a
All
few
right.
hang ups, but no,
Yeah.
most people are just, "Hey, this is Dakota. You hit an ad on, or you got connected through my
Mhm.
website. Whatever the reason is. You find what you're looking for,
Yeah.
and it's either yes, no, or click."
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Right. So my point, I mean, I joke around, but like you're not physically harmed by
No,
it.
no, no
And
one's
I mean, you might take a little hit to the ego if you get hung up on, but then,
sure.
if you just remember that how many people you've hung up on, how
A
many,
lot.
so it is what it is. It's the
Yeah,
cycle of the phone
of phones.
conversations nowadays. But
You just got to do it.
yeah, but it goes along with communication also. So like
Hmm.
you, I think you alluded to it. You might have been getting there, so I apologize if I steal your thunder. But communication is huge,
Hmm.
and I think that's one of the lessons you've learned for the first year is that A, you gotta somebody raise their hand, you gotta call them and see if they got what they needed at minimally,
Yep.
and then B, once you have them as a client, then you have to continue to stay in contact with them, whether the news is good, bad, or no news at all. You still have to
Sure.
reach out and keep that open dialogue with them.
Right.
So, cool. Did you have anything to add to that before we move on to the next question?
Nope. I think, we'll see if something else comes up in the conversation, but I think I hit
Yeah,
most all there for the weekly or daily habits.
cool. So, this is one of my favorite questions, and I ask a lot of people that have been in the business for a
Hmm.
couple years. It's what did you waste money and time on that you would not do again?
Everything,
Do you need to add
everything.
more time to this?
Well, if I'm going to read my script, which I'm not reading off of, I don't think I've actually hit anything that I had written down here, but
That's all right. It's
um,
better that way.
it's one of those, how much time do we got?
Yeah.
Starting out, what little bit that office did do was they were real heavy on expireds and withdrawals. They were a little more old school and just sending snail mail. So it's 75 cents a pop. I was sending letters to every expired within 50 miles of here
Hmm.
and got zero from it.
Yeah.
So that gets expensive pretty quick. I was bad about chasing the shiny object and not letting those seeds sprout. If I'm going to continue with the garden analogy, so wasted money on a logo that ended up looking like every generic real estate agent's logo. It was a name with a house above it. It's like, great, I could have done that in Canva. I thought,
Yeah.
um, every marketing company, let's just face it, marketing companies are marketers, and they're
Hmm.
great at business for themselves and not for their clients. And at least in my experience, there might be a good one out there. I haven't found one yet. I've had to
Yeah.
figure out how to do it myself.
There's a few of them that are good, but they're I mean if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Hmm.
Do you have a dollar amount that you wasted? Have you thought about that? I don't want to depress you
I
or
don't
anything.
want to tally that up.
Yeah.
When I started, I was playing with house money. I had a W-2 salary job,
Yeah.
um, and with some disposable income. So I was, I'd hate to tally it up. I'd probably be sick now.
Yeah, I hear you. I know in my first 3 years, I know we're interviewing you, but just to kind of put a number on it, my first 3 years of real estate, I calculated I wasted approximately $30,000.
Yeah,
Like what, like wasted, gone.
yeah,
Maybe I got a deal or two. I
mhm,
was very good at keeping track or calculating
yep,
the connection between incoming and outgoing. But
yeah,
yeah, it was quite a bit. The shiny objects were real. Like this is going to work. Oh, this is the easy button. This will happen. But there's no easy button, and there's
yeah,
no like if you had kept mailing to the expireds and kept if you had a system of follow up,
mhm.
then yeah, you probably could have seen fruit from that. But
Sure.
I know I'm not alone. I just heard it from you. Like you start some things and then they don't happen fast enough, so you move on to the next thing, and it's like there's
Mhm.
switch costs involved and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
totally. What's the biggest mistake that you've made in a transaction?
So I would say that my biggest challenge within the first year, mistake challenge would certainly be with listings. I got a couple listings very early, and if I was to go back and tell myself starting over, um, would be to find the person that's in your office or within your network of other agents and find the one that does a lot of listings and actually sells them,
Mhm.
and consider bringing them on as a co-agent or a co-listing agent and cut them in the deal under the agreement that they're going to teach you, right?
Yeah.
Because I could look at the numbers, but I didn't have the experience of working with more buyers yet to really be able to look at something from the buyer's perspective. So if I was to go back and tell myself starting over, like focus on buyers, that way you know what the buyers are looking for, to where when you do get those listing opportunities, you can see it from that perspective and not just what you see and what the numbers are showing you.
Yeah. That's a good point. I never really thought about it that way, but you're right. It is getting listings and knowing having worked with a few buyers, it's much easier to guide your
Hmm.
clients as selling their home than it is if you haven't worked with buyers in the past. That's a good point.
Yeah. So I had three notes here, TJ. So just bear with me here.
Yeah.
Um, I had one when this is still kind of coming with the listings deal, because that's where most of my burns have been from. The first is don't get emotionally attached to a house and don't get in the seller's way.
Hmm.
The reason for that is I had a really nice listing that it was a beautiful piece of property, had a pond, pool. It was beautiful outside, but the house was trash. Um, but I was looking at replacement cost, coming from the mindset of a construction guy of like, if I was to go and build this on an 8-acre piece of property, it would cost X amount, and that's where we were looking at it cost wise or price wise, and then we had probably 70 showings on this house, with very few offers. There was a few, but none that she wanted to accept at the time.
Yeah.
Needless to say, that one ended up expiring, dropping off, and ended up selling for over $100,000 less than what we had offers for. But neither way, I got emotionally attached to that one, because I like the house personally or
Yeah.
the property itself.
It's definitely
But
hard, especially your first couple that you
yeah,
know, you don't want to give you've put so much time and effort and money into it that you
hmm
don't want to let it go. And then it
yeah,
just gets worse and worse and worse typically.
yeah, yeah. So the next point I have is don't take a bad listing.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's people out there that think that a sign in a yard is better than a sign in their garage, and there may be some truth to that depending on how much money you put into a listing.
Yeah.
But this is where I brought up the point: if you hear the words "we don't have to sell," believe them, and take that as your cue to just shake their hand,
Yeah.
thank them for their time, and go get in your car and get out of there.
I've heard you say that a
Uh,
few times. I think that might be the number one lesson that you learned for sure. It's
yeah,
true though. It's 100%. Yeah.
yeah,
I've done it. I think we all do it at some point, and it's a tough lesson.
yeah. And then the third, so I've already hit all three of these already, TJ. So I got ahead of myself, but do the numbers work? And this goes back to the
Yeah.
one where it had to sell for the top end of the comp range for it to work out. And in hindsight,
Yeah. And
shouldn't have taken it.
oftentimes I had this past year, it's a repeat investor client of mine. She got into a house and like over renovated for
Hmm.
the neighborhood. Really
Yep.
did just couldn't get the numbers back because of the neighborhood, not because of it was very nicely done.
Right.
Um, I told her she wanted to sell it. I'm like, yeah, you're better off just to hang on to it and rent it out. She does like midterm rentals. Give it a year, recoup some of the money. Let's see what the market is in a year from now, and then we'll go, back at it.
Right.
But and that gained so much trust with that client. Much
Yeah.
better off than it was like, oh yeah, we'll sell it, and then it sits there and sits there and sits there, and they wonder what you're doing or not doing,
Hmm.
and it's not, the only mistake with trying to sell it is that you're trying to sell it for too much,
Too
and
much.
and
Yeah.
they just can't take that big of a hit to sell it for less. So
Right.
for sure, cool.
Yeah. There's what's the saying? There's three things that sell a house. You got price, condition, and what's the third one? I'm drawing a blank, and I brought it up.
It's
That's
location.
that's terrible. But uh, price can fix a bad condition, right?
That's true.
Um, it's terrible. I'm going to bring something up, and I can't remember all three. Anyhow,
That's all good. We'll move on. We'll get you moved on to the next question here. Um, what do you think is the most stressful of your first year? Was it the contracts? Was it the leads? Like
mm,
where was it? What brought you the most stress?
yeah, the most stress certainly, for me starting out was now this is a full time gig, and where's the business coming from?
Mhm.
And it's just being able to show up every day to keep hammering on that rock. And some days you'll make some progress, and some days you don't, or at least you don't feel like you do. But you got to just keep showing up. Um, and honestly, that was lead gen and lead conversion. You can buy leads. How much money do you got? You'll get the leads. How can you convert them? And that's where I feel like I fell short within my first year, is not being able to convert them at a high enough rate to offset the cost that I was spending, or the
Gotcha.
money that I was putting in on 'em.
Yeah.
The next thing would certainly be client expectations. That's something you're always working with, because every person out here is different, and dealing with the public can be fun sometimes. Investor clients, they're going to be stone cold killers when it comes to the numbers.
Mhm.
So do the numbers work? They're very black and white. Do the numbers work or not? Working with first time buyers or someone that's never gone through the process, they're going to be balls of emotion.
Yeah.
And can you navigate that and keep a level head and everything? But me being
That's
in the background of managing people, um, at least in construction side, the time, money, and people was what I was paid to do, was paid to manage. So
mhm.
once something gets under contract, I'm off and running. It's getting to that point that I've felt like I needed to grow and have grown in and all continue to grow in.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that a lot of people can relate with that. Even if you're a big, if you consider yourself a big people person, you still have to kind of learn how to deal with the different personalities through a very
Mhm.
stressful emotional time. it's it's like some people's lives are being, turned upside down with a move. And they say
Yeah,
that the second most stressful event in life after a death in the family is a move, is buying a house and moving. So,
right,
and we're right in the mix, right in the middle of it, trying to convince people that you're the best one for the job. So I get it,
right.
man. It's a tough thing to learn. I'm glad you learned that lesson. I'm glad you mentioned it too. So not anybody that's listening or watching the YouTube video here, they can like that's something to really consider and really think about. And I think like learning how to speak to different personalities it was a key thing for me to do. I'm not sure if you found me. You alluded to like you have to treat people a little bit. Not
Mhm.
everybody's a construction, a drywall guy that you got to get him
You got to
to
get
do
straightened out
do
and
the
get back on
job.
schedule.
Yeah, it's a young couple that's buying their first house. You got to treat them with a little
Mhm.
bit a little bit different
Yeah.
words and personality. Yeah, for sure. Cool. So well, all this, what mentorship, helped the most? Like, how did you figure it out? Did you figure out anything the hard way, or did mentorship help you out?
Oh, of course. I learned a lot the hard way. So hopefully people can learn from my mistakes and don't have to live through them themselves. But uh, definitely, I'd say real estate's a team sport. I was naive enough to think that I was going to blaze my own trail, and this is the easiest thing ever. I'm coming from construction where I build 1,000,000 square foot warehouses and yell at people every day to get back on schedule, and
Hmm.
that's not the case. If you think you can do everything yourself, you're fooling yourself. Um, and you need a mentor, and this is with any facet of your life. If you're going to do it professionally or for a sport or for a hobby, everybody needs a mentor,
Hmm.
and multiple will help too for specific topics or scenarios. So really getting in tune or getting plugged in with a network or a team or a club, a group, whatever it is, find a mentor, find the person that's doing what you're wanting to do at a high level, and stick close to them, even if that means you're the awkward guy that stands around and when they're in the middle of a conversation and you got a drink in your hand, you're just going to stand there and listen to them. Most of the time that's not awkward if it's in a social setting. Don't do it while they're eating dinner but with their wife. Um, anyhow, so if I was to start over, I'd certainly tell myself to do more research. Going back to the whole broker scenario, and find a brokerage or a team that's at a high level and
Hmm.
producing at a high level, and consider going with them instead of basing your decision off of, well, it's 5 minutes from the house and they have an
Yeah.
office.
Yeah, doing a little more digging into what
Yep.
who you're going to surround yourself with. So I've heard a couple things. If the numbers don't work, they're not ever going to work,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Don't if somebody doesn't tells you that they don't have to sell, then
Believe them.
shake their hand and believe them. And
Yeah.
then a few times you've either alluded to or come out and said that it's who you surround yourself with. It's who the people that you put yourself in the same room with.
Right.
And I think that rings true. And if you don't get anything out of this, whoever's listening doesn't get anything out of this video or this meeting here, this mastermind, that's the one thing I think that I certainly would like people to kind of leave with is that it's the who you surround yourself with. You have to find the people that are not only done the things that you want to do or maybe have a little more experience than you, but they're also kind of willing to give you some pointers here and there. Not hold your hand like, through everything.
Hmm.
And not answer the phone every time you call and you're not calling
Yeah.
late at night, but it's people that are gonna give you the guidance that you need and then, set you running. I think that's one of the things we really love about you is that you take things to heart. If you ask a question, they're really great questions and then you go with and you run with it and you actually put it into action. So I think that's an important thing too. I don't know if you're going to toot your own horn and say that, but
I'm not really one to toot my own horn. I
yeah,
beat
I
myself up
know.
more than anything.
But you've definitely taken things and you've put them into action, and then another lesson comes down the road after that. And then so I just think it's great to watch your growth over the past year and a half. I didn't know you've really too much the first year you're in real estate. I kind of caught you at sort of the tail end of your first year,
Mhm.
but since then you've taken the advice and you've put it into play. You've put it into action. Um, and I think that's why you've learned as much as you have and had as much success and had the closes that you've had already. So cool. So kudos to you, man. I'm going to toot your horn because I know you're not going to do it. Um, so what do you think? Like looking back, what are the numbers that you should keep track of, or what are the
Yeah. So,
metrics?
yeah, you know, it's easy to count your closings. It's easy to count your leads, but the number you need to focus on is your expenses, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, that's the fastest way to go broke is to spend more than you're making. And it doesn't matter how much you make if you it's how much you keep. If you don't keep enough, you're going to go back to your day job, right? Or your your other day job,
Good point.
your old career, right? So track your expenses. $20 here and there for whatever subscription service you have or whatever new AI tool that's out there. That's
Mhm.
great. What's that total out to at the month? And if you don't have closings for 2-3 months at a time, are you going to be able to keep it keep it all going, or are you going to have to cut back? So certainly track your expenses and don't get over leveraged.
Yeah,
Getting especially getting started.
that's a good point. I did not do any kind of profit and loss my first couple of years actually, and it was I was very surprised and
Hmm.
shouldn't have been, but I was very surprised and shocked when I started doing it.
Yeah.
And a lot of those um, peripheral subscriptions got cut off pretty quickly. That's for
Right.
sure. You do it
Absolutely.
doing an audit is of all your subscriptions is a huge thing. You're most people are spending a lot more money than they think they are on those. All right, man. One more question for you, as you might want to expound on a little bit. So if a brand new agent just got their license, came to you,
Mhm.
and they wanted your top three to dos and top three don't dos, what are they?
Okay. Um, I don't know if I have them sorted out, so you might be putting me a little bit on the spot there,
You're right.
TJ, but
They don't have to
it's
be
all
in order.
it's all good. But if I was to start over knowing what I know now, certainly going back to take some time researching the area and find the team, brokerage team, whoever that's really producing in your market, and consider joining them. Again, it took me 60 days from the time I decided that I was going to sign up for a course and get my license. I didn't put much thought into that because I was still had a day job, right? Or actual salary job. So I rushed the process, and I would certainly encourage anyone, especially if you stumble across this and you're just in the idea or the brainstorming session of getting started, do some research on who you're going to join up with. And the second thing is be humble and give yourself some grace. So you're not going to know everything, and you're going to have the enthusiasm to hit the ground running. But you're going to find some trouble if you if you just charge right into stuff. Um, but when you do hit that trouble, be humble enough to ask for help, and hopefully you've surrounded yourself off of the first thing to do to have a good team to lean on, and have give yourself some grace to understand that you're starting something completely new. Whether you're fresh out of high school deciding to get licensed, or you're a 20-year uh, career business person and decide to get into this, you're not going to know everything getting started. So ask for help and really find you a mentor. And then certainly form a plan and work the plan and stick with it. Don't be one of those that you'll start something, and if it doesn't work right off the bat, you're changing it up. Going back to the you're throwing seeds out. You got to let them grow, and it takes some time. 3 to 6 months or more sometimes. So give it time and let it
Yeah.
and keep consistent with it and let it work.
Be patient. Patient with it. Yeah. Give it. It's definitely not
Patience.
going to work if you quit too early. The whole 3 feet from gold
Yeah.
thing. So cool, man. I think that's some great advice. I know that you've definitely you've been inspiring. I didn't have the success that you've had in my first year. So it just is a testament to how you've really like dug right in and just have been focused and didn't let the discouragements and the frustration of things not quite happening the way or as quickly as you want them to. You just pushing through it and having that patience. I think you did. You're doing. You're well on your way for sure. Do you want to? You have some more slides you want to wrap up before we go to the Q&A portion?
Yeah, so we'll end with this. I thought it'd be a good idea to come up with it, being as I'm going through all this self reflect and kind of going over the last 24 months of this deal. I came up with a tongue in cheek 10 commandments
All right.
of a new real estate agent. So just bear with me one second here. Hopefully this will work. There we go. Yeah. So again, another day in real estate, right? This right here is the team that I'm in. Great folks. This was actually down in Fort Myers for the Agent Rise Summit, and
Nice.
it
Know
was a
those
good time.
guys.
So yeah, a couple of familiar faces in there.
Mhm.
So the real estate agent 10 commandments. We'll let this all pop up because I didn't go in and turn it off. But thou shalt remember that every day starts at $0. You wake up every morning in this business with nothing, right? So you got to go and you got to earn a dollar every day.
Mhm.
It kind of goes with the unlimited earning potential. You can make as much money as you're willing to as much money as possible in real estate, but you don't have a floor on a base salary. So every day starts at zero. Um, thou shalt form a plan before spending a dollar. Uh, really get an idea of and draft out what your chase or how are you going to get business, and don't just go wherever the wind takes you on this new marketing strategy for $500 and they'll teach you how to do whatever. Be careful with those.
Mhm.
Um, thou shalt protect yourself. So this kind of goes back to you're going to go through some times where you're going to start helping people and get them through start the process of a pre-approval or listing a house or getting them ready to put their house on the market. And next thing you know, it's either on the market with another agent or they're under contract with another agent and whatever. So protect yourself, get the proper documentation in place before you get too far through the process. And it's kind of a tiptoeing act of doing that, but that's where I was going with that one. Set boundaries and defend them. You
Mhm.
know, some people are happy working on Sunday. I don't want to work on Sunday. So we set that precedent up front that I'm available Monday through Friday from 7 to about 6:30 in the afternoon. And if you need me on Sunday, unless a deal is hanging in the balance, we'll handle it on Monday because most things can wait.
Mhm.
Just set whatever your boundaries need to be. If you have kids and you have sport events in the evening times, just let everybody know and we can usually work through it. Right. So just set your boundaries. Um, I think I've beat this horse to death, TJ, but number 5 is thou shalt not take a bad listing. You know,
Yep.
if you've made it this far through the video, we won't beat that
We,
horse no more.
that's right. We know that now.
Yeah. Please, if you take anything from this, and thou shalt remember that real estate's a team sport. You're not going to do everything on your own. And you're going to need great lenders. You're going to need great uh, insurance guys, contractors, and plus other agents to help through certain situations that you may have never had to go through on your own. Hopefully, you have someone that you can lean on that has been there and done that, can help you through it. Um, and you should expect this to take longer than you want. Surprise! You're not going to get your license and have a client and a closing within the first week. It takes time.
Yeah. And
Um,
typically the whole process takes time
it
from
does.
getting your client, getting a lead to closing table. You're what is on average is about 90 days, about 3 months. Sometimes it's a lot longer.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So just keeping that in mind because it's so important. I say that because it's so important to not lose sight of your pipeline and keep adding
Yep.
to your pipeline because I've fall victim to this, not victim. I do it to myself where I get busy or, in the past I would get busy and I work in the transactions that I have and dealing with the clients that I have. And I would not stuff the other end of the pipeline. And then those would all close and I'd look up and I'd have not really much going on at that point. So that's where the roller coaster comes from.
Yep.
So keeping that, yeah, knowing that everything takes a little longer, and then if you don't if you stop filling your pipeline, there's going to be a gap in your business at some point. So
That's it. Don't go spend 3 months in the deer woods and expect to hit the ground running in January. Yeah. Ask me how I know.
yeah.
Um, so thou shalt do the reps even when you're bad at it. If it's cold calling, if it's, you know, door knocking, whatever you're doing, you just got to do it. You got to, you know, on the days that you don't feel like it, at least do something, right? And you're going to get better at it. The only way you're going to get better with anything is through practice.
Hmm.
Um, I'm trying to. Well, we won't get into that. Other hobbies here, but thou shalt note the numbers. You know, that can be taken from expense side. Again, it's not how much you make; it's how much you keep. So keep your expenses low, but also know your market.
Hmm.
Really be digging into the MLS on a regular basis and see what properties are selling, see what's expiring, and see how long it's taking for these that are closing. How long is it taking? Right now around Griffin, this is 60 to 70 days average right now for anything to sell.
Hmm.
Uh, doesn't mean that stuff's not selling within a week because it does happen, but that also is taking into account the stuff that's sitting for 8 months, right? So know your numbers, and thou shalt do what is right, even when it costs you. You know, that's there. You're going to get into situations where maybe the best thing is to take something off the market, and you're going to eat marketing costs, photos, whatever. There's other situations that can come up, but always do what's right because uh, holding on to a deal over a commission or only thinking about yourself is not the way to do this business. We are a service based business, um, and you need to do what's right for your client, even if it's going to cost you a little bit. So that's why I had that one in there. So that's my
That's a good point.
tongue in cheek 10 Commandments.
No, it was good. I like seeing it laid out like that. I think you covered just about all those 10 commandments. I think you expounded on them throughout the interview here. So it was great.
Yeah.
That last one's really good. I'm glad you put that in there. Doing what's right, even if it costs you, and even if it costs you some pride or embarrassment, like it,
Hmm.
not necessarily monetarily, but
Yeah.
if there's a mistake that we all make mistakes, but like owning up to it and trying to make it right is always the better path for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, I would say if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to get onto the Q&A with the presenter, we have a few great ones coming up. Jeremy Allen's coming back in a couple weeks. Frank Warren's coming back to do some more training. We have Neil Mathwig from Agent Rise Coaching coming on in a couple weeks. So check that out. Go to the reagenthive.com, register to get on to the live masterminds here. You definitely want to get in and ask some questions. And I'll just leave it at that. And with that, we're going to turn off the recording and we'll see you next week if you're watching on YouTube. And